Hi everyone, it's Lindsay Marquez, and I'm back with another rhetorical appeal analysis. And today we're going to apply some examples that I have found through TV commercials of logos. Logos is a form of argument that uses logic as its main basis, such as someone explaining why you should do this rather than who it affects or who uses it as the reason, unlike pathos or ethos. So the three examples we're going to be looking at today are from cellular commercials. You'll see this in a lot of tech commercials where they use a comparative between two different companies to say why ours is different, ours is better, and here's why. This usually appeals to the audience as them wanting to buy it because it is better. And they see this as okay because there is reasoning given. So it's another form of advertisement technique as well as other arguments. Let's get on to the other examples. So I mentioned this briefly, but we're going to go over it again. Who uses logos? Companies planning to persuade their consumers. So, any type of company, our food is healthier, our technology's better, and here's why. They don't just say that it is better, they say it is better and here's why, and they give a logical explanation. Scientists wanting to use the logic of their experiments. I know this does not correlate to the blog post I wrote. However, scientists do use logos. They say, this in our experiment performed this way because of this. It's used in a lot of hypotheses and other type of scientific reasoning. Any person using logic or hard facts as their reasoning. So this comes with, I shouldn't do my homework now because I still have another class to do. Those kinds of logic or being applied to everyday scenarios is another example of logos. Just like a mother telling her child, no, you cannot have dessert before dinner because your stomach will get sick. That kind of logic, not just by things as simple as I said so. So why? It's to have consumers switch to a new brand, purchase a product, make scientific conclusions, or convince an audience that you are right. The audience is not convinced that you are right just by laying down your platform. You need to use some of your logos or logic to convince them. It's the same thing when a company wants you to purchase a product, or same thing when a scientist wants to write a conclusion. All those kinds of things, they will typically use logic as their basis for explanation. So the first example, I'm going to press play on this video. There's no audio, but you will see. This is a Verizon Wireless commercial. You could see there's a man talking about Verizon and there's a graph. And now another man comes in and he is from Sprint. And he is showing his graph. This is supposed to be a logical comparison between the two and their map of coverage. Now you could see, obviously Verizon's is larger, and this is a Verizon commercial, so of course theirs is going to look better on the graph. So that's another kind of undertone logos. Logically, you should switch to Verizon Wireless because they have more coverage versus Sprint, who had less. I'm going to show you, here's the graph that was used a similar graph was used in the video. I could not find the one with Sprint and Verizon Wireless, but here's Verizon versus AT&T. So they're trying to use the logic that they have 5 times more coverage, 5 times more 3G coverage versus AT&T or Sprint. And that is their logical explanation on why you should choose them. Not because they have nice phones, but because they have better coverage. Alright, moving on. Here's my second example. This is an AT&T commercial. Here he is talking to kids about what's the biggest number was their conversation. And this may not seem like a logos argument. However, if you watch towards the end, they play their slogan, or the slogan that they used, and it was bigger is better. And they're saying that they're the largest 4G network and that they're bigger and bigger is better. So you should switch to them. So that is the logic or logos behind them wanting you to switch or reasoning behind why you should switch. Alright, moving on. Our last one is Sprint. This one is the trickiest. It's a man walking down the street. He is explaining that he switched from Verizon to Sprint because all of the ranges of coverage are in between 1/10 of each other. So he's saying even though Verizon chose this big map of large coverage, that all of the coverages shown are between 1/10 of each other. And that you should save more money and risk the 1/10 of a difference, or 1/100th. So this is, again, why you should switch. It's cheaper. The coverage is only 1% worse than the other one. And this is another example of logos. It may have been a little harder to see, but that's what it is. So, summing all this up, logos is the use of logical reasoning in an argument or as a tool to persuade an audience. Companies logos to convince consumers on why their brand is better. So they use logic in order to convince people on why their brand is better. In this commercial, I showed 3 companies using logos in their commercials. They were all 3 cellular companies, however, sometimes it's not always cell phone companies. The first company we looked at today was Verizon Wireless. The second one was AT&T. And the last one was Sprint. Thank you guys for watching my video, and I hope you keep following me on my blog.